everyone, and welcome to a special Tuesday night edition of the Draft Countdown podcast. I'm your co-host, Brian Bosarge, along with my co-host, Shane P. Hallam. Shane, we are 155 days, 22 hours, 59 minutes, and 42 seconds away from the 2022 NFL Draft.
We're doing good. Regular season coming in hot. We got a little bit more time there, and conference championships. It feels like, I don't know, it's flown by. I feel like once you hit Thanksgiving week, it is feels like college season's almost over, and it's just flown on past us.
Well, it truly will be over for roughly about 60 or 70, about 60 FBS teams this weekend, as they'll be playing their last game. Then we're on to bowl season. A school that will not be over for is the University of South Carolina, as they achieved bowl eligibility last week by defeating Auburn. So I had to wear the ceremonial shirt tonight to honor that. But Shane, it is Thanksgiving week, and we want to wish everybody and all of our listeners out there a happy Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday, which is why we're having the podcast on Tuesday night, because, you know, family obligations and stuff will take us away tomorrow night. So we don't want to get into that. But with that being said, Shane, we do have some football to talk about, and in particular, a lot more Senior Bowl invitation exceptions came out this week. Shane, I broke them down by position this week. We'll start with the offense. 28 new names to add to the board, 62 total. I figure the roster is about half done now for Jim Nagy and his crew, with the initial exceptions. One quarterback amongst those 28 new names, and its potential QB1, Kenny Pickett, is in.
It's exciting. He accepted last year and obviously went back to school, which obviously was a great decision now that he's going to be a first-round pick, maybe a high-end first-round pick. And it sounds, by the way, Jim Nagy's talking soon enough, we'll get a ton of really high-profile quarterbacks. So this might end up one of the best quarterback groups, top to bottom, the Senior Bowl's ever had.
Certainly it seems that way. He did tweet out that 5 of the top 6 quarterbacks he expects to be in Mobile this year, which led us to do some speculating. And one of those quarterbacks that you don't want to get people's thinking about it, but Sam Howell walking with the seniors this week at North Carolina and is on target to graduate in December, which would make him eligible to play in the 2022 Senior Bowl. So keep that in mind. Maybe Sam Howell could be playing in Mobile this year, and with the inconsistent year he's had, he definitely could use it. That's for sure. But let's move on to the running back position, and only one running back this week is one we kind of knew was coming, based on he was the only player that Jim Nagy offered up to us when he was on the show 2 weeks ago, is Baylor running back Abram Smith. Shane, you got to watch him 2 weeks ago, and he just went off. I got to watch him this week, and he didn't do a whole lot of anything. So kind of mixed feelings for me here on Abram Smith.
Yeah, I mean, he won that game against Oklahoma. I think without him, I'm not sure they win that game. So that was exciting. And then gets the invite and just goes a little bit in the tank. But Baylor has that whole rotation there. I'm excited to see him at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, because I think he's not a name that's on that national profile still, and that this might help him there.
I believe you are correct. Only one wide receiver on this list, and it's a guy I think we're both pretty fond of in that third round area, maybe Khalil Shakir, the wide receiver from Boise State.
I think he's squarely in my top 100. Just the speed and the toughness, like he kind of has that whole thing built. He was really, really good early in his career. Had some injuries, and this year was great. So happy to see him there. So, the receiver group is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be some haves and some have-nots, and as per usual of a kind of a bigger receiver group.
I think you're going to see a genuine split here when we start seeing the rest of these wide receivers come out, is you'll see probably 6 or 7 guys who could end up in that top 100 area with potentials, to start as wide receivers. And you're going to see the second half of the receivers that they bring in are going to be a lot of your core special teams guys, your fifth wide receivers who are punt gunners and stuff like that. think of someone like a Van Jefferson was at Florida, although he ended up getting drafted, I believe, in the 3rd round. But, someone of that, players like that. Velus Jones Jr. from Tennessee, I think he's going to end up down here at some point. He may already have an invite, but I think he's that type of guy that's like a 4th round wide receiver, special teams ace. 4 tight ends, or 4 listed tight ends, I should say, one of which we really don't know what he plays. But Charlie Kohler from Iowa State, Trey McBride from Colorado State, Isaiah Likely from Coastal Carolina, and Connor Hayward, who is a fullback, tight end, running back, linebacker, all positions, a little bit of everything player from Michigan State. But those are the 4. There's 3 guys there that are going to be potential NFL starters, in my opinion.
I think Trey McBride has a shot at the 1st round. If he can work out up to his potential, I think he could be the first tight end off the board. I know you like Isaiah Likely, and Charlie Kohler is a good kind of blocking, bigger tight end. I haven't really watched Hayward in detail. I'll have to watch him. We also talked, it's kind of a surprise, Lucas Kroll was not the tight end from Pitt. It was not announced with those guys, so he obviously was not invited, which is a little surprising. They didn't, pick it up with his tight end that had been gaining some buzz. But it's not a great tight end group at the top. There's no Kyle Pitts, but it is deep, and so I think it was hard for me to try to predict who those tight ends would be, and I'm sure it's hard for them to pick.
These 4 join Grant Calcaterra, Cole Turner, and Jake Ferguson. That leaves, in my opinion, I'm going to say that probably leaves room for one more potential tight end. So speculate, who that may be down the road.
Yeah, I would guess Jeremy Ruckert if I had to guess. Right, it's probably a bigger.
That feels right.
School guy.
9 offensive linemen come on board, and this offensive line, we talked off air, this offensive line room is filling up quick, and it's filling up with a lot of talent. And you said today that just with the players they announced today, you thought there were 3 top 100 players in that group. Well, let's run through the list. Bernhard Ryman from Central Michigan, we both absolutely love, think he's a potential 1st round pick. Andrew Stuber from Michigan is one I'm going to have to go back and hit on the tape a little bit more to get a feel for him. But Darian Kennard from Kentucky is a potential 2nd round guy, I believe. Luke Gutake from Central Michigan doesn't get the love that Ryman does, but he's definitely in that 3rd, 4th round area. Carter Warren from Pitt. Matt Boletsko from North Dakota, the guy I watched earlier this year, 36-inch arms. So that's something that's definitely a start, as they say. Ed Ingram, guy you absolutely love at the guard position for LSU. Zion Johnson from Boston College, a guy I love at the guard position. And Abraham Lucas, Jim Nagy actually tweeted out today about him that, in draft circles like ours, and he's not wrong, kind of the forgotten guy this year, because of all the emergence of some of these other guys. But Lucas can still play, and so we'll see if he can get in that back in that conversation.
It's just a strong group, even just today. Zion Johnson could be the top guard off the board. I think Ed Ingram, I probably like him a little more than the consensus, but I think he has a shot in the top 100. Like you said, Lucas, Kennard, it's just it's the top of this offensive line group, which is rare to me. I don't know if you agree or disagree. I know we usually kind of have a senior or two. The Senior Bowl helps move up. But usually there's a couple underclassmen, and I feel like this year, outside of the obvious and Evan Neal from Alabama, I think a lot of these top guys are going to be eligible at least for the Senior Bowl, and I imagine will be there.
Yeah, it's going to be a good group. The offensive line, defensive line one-on-ones get a lot of attention every year anyway. I think there's going to be a lot of focus on that this year for sure. And the offensive line group's fun because there's going to be a couple of defensive ends here that are going to try to give those guys fits. And your man, Josh Paschal from Kentucky, who I don't know if you saw his his ad for the dentist office today. I don't know if you saw that, Shane. You need to look that up. His NIL deal, hilarious stuff there. And D'Angelo Malone, who has been compared to Bruce Irvin by the Senior Bowl staff, but probably not going to get drafted as high as Bruce Irvin. But he's a undersized defensive end, probably going to be a standout linebacker in the NFL when it's all said and done. But he can get after the passer. So those are the two defensive linemen coming in.
Now, I'm a big Josh Pascal fan. Ever since a follower kind of turned me on to him, teams have kind of been game planning for him, and they're really giving him a lot of love there. So you can tell he can get after the passer. He's strong, and Malone pretty quick, long career. So I'm interested to see how these kind of edge guys, especially how they kind of shape up from here.
3 linebackers added this week. Terrell Bernard from Baylor comes in. Mike Rose from Iowa State, who we talked about on the podcast before, and a guy who was just ran wild for the LSU defense this year is Damone Clark. Who's your main guy out of these 3?
I think I'd have to go Mike Rose. I really liked his tackling technique. Another player who, kind of like Khalil Shakir, who emerged early in his career as the leader of that defense, was running that defense, getting tackles, dropping into coverage. I thought he's really improved this year. So I think he could be a day 2 pick. I think all 3 of them have a shot at day 2 when all said and done.
3 cornerbacks coming in. One today, Josh Thompson from Texas. I was a little surprised to see his name called. Damari Mathis from Pitt, a guy who you told me struggled this past week against Virginia a little bit. And one guy who didn't struggle this week because he was never targeted was Roger Mccreary from Auburn. South Carolina smart enough to not go his way. They were smart enough to move Josh Vann away from him to get him targets on the other side. But Roger Mccreary played his high school ball here in Mobile at Williamson High School, so he was pretty locked in to be here. Even despite his, if he wasn't an outstanding talent like that, he is. But Mccreary could sneak into that first round area.
I think he could. I think he could potentially even rise to be the second corner off the board with how well he's played this year. I don't know how his workout's going to go. I think that'll be a big deciding factor for that. But that's a great addition. Thompson and Mathis, I'm not quite as thrilled about. So maybe you have to go back. Secondary is a little tough on the TV tape sometimes. Maybe have to go back and watch them. But this past game against Virginia was not great for Mathis.
3 safeties coming in this week. The oft talked about on this podcast, Jalen Petrie from Baylor was one of the 3. Sneaky name that you don't hear a whole lot about is Kentucky's Yusuf Corker, talented player there. And Toledo Rocket Tyson Anderson gets the call. Second MAC safety that I have no clue about added the last 2 weeks that I'll have to go back and put my eyeballs on.
Yeah, I need to watch Corker as well. Once again, safety, defensive back, tough, I think, to scout this early in the game for us. It becomes a much more difficult thing. Jalen Petrie, he's won me over in the past 2 weeks, so I'm back on the Jalen Petrie bandwagon. Maybe by the end I'll be waving my Baylor Bears Jalen Petrie flag.
And probably the biggest addition to the roster this week, Shane, at least for you anyway. Yeah. Pitt long snapper Cal Adomptis getting the call. The first long snapper in.
Look, I just feel vindicated because I made, we relaunched in August. I had my long snapper rankings, and I had him number 1. And I was like, man, there's nothing to go off of. There's no cheats for the long snapper, right? You can't copy anyone else. No one else has long snapper rankings. So I feel a little bit vindicated that he's going to Mobile because I think he's pretty spectacular. If you watched the NFL this past week, Arizona botched 2 field goals because of their long snapper. We saw 2 get drafted last year. It's become more important. So
sure has. Just want to remind everybody, if you've got any questions, you're watching us live, you got any questions you want to have answered, college football or NFL draft related, ask them in the chat here or at Draft Countdown on Twitter. and we'll get to them at the end of the show. Shane, some news this week announced. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on something that's probably only going to last 6 months, but the USFL is back, baby. And I so desperately want one of these leagues to make it. I don't care which one. I just want one of these leagues to make it. And especially with this draft class where there's going to be probably 80% of these guys are going to be looking for work after the 90-man rosters fill up. There needs to be something like this for these guys to go to because Canada sucks and nobody wants to go up there and play football. So their football league sucks. Canada doesn't suck.
Wow.
Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
But
we like Canada here.
Yeah, I can't watch the CFL. But 8 teams announced they're going to play. Shane, I believe you're probably 2, which hell happened when I was like 4 and 5 years old the first time. But so that's definitely probably before your time.
Oh yeah.
But the Birmingham Stallions, Houston Gamblers, New Jersey Generals, Michigan Panthers, New Orleans Breakers, Philly Stars, the Pittsburgh Maulers. Hey, coming to you, Shane. The Pittsburgh Maulers in the USFL, and the Tampa Bay Bandits will be the 8 teams. I suggest anybody who wants to learn about the USFL pick up Jeff Pearlman's book, Football for a Buck. It was a great read. I read it last summer. Breaking news, Shane. Breaking news. Senior Bowl, another Senior Bowl invite. One of the top wide receivers coming in, Johan Dotson from Penn State.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Might be the best receiver that's there when all's said and done. Maybe Chris Olave, but John Dotson. I have him in the first round of my mock last week, and I think he's going to be a first round pick.
Well, they couldn't wait for us to finish the podcast like they did last week, at least.
Yeah.
Also, if you have an ESPN Plus subscription, you can watch their catalog of the 30 for 30 movies. Watch Small Potatoes, Who Killed the USFL. Spoiler alert, it was the 45th president of the United States. So let's move on from the USFL. Shane, we usually pick 2 of these guys, but we're only going to go with one guy this week. So who was the one guy that stood out to you above all this past week from week 12?
I think I have to go with my cover photo guy, Dominic Robinson, the edge rusher from Miami of Ohio. I know I kind of teased it last week because the game had already happened by the time we recorded last week. Thank you, Maction. But I mean, he was dominant against Bowling Green. Like, he was bullying the offensive line. He was in the backfield consistently, 2 sacks in the game, a number of pressures additionally. He showed that dominant ability, why he's going to be a mobile and why he's going to be a high pick, like really long arms, good explosiveness. He's one of those kind of MAC pass rushers. I think that's going to make it, like a Max Crosby. I think he has some of that in him. So I was really impressed, and he's definitely going to move up my board when I kind of rehash things next week.
Yeah, I watched him when the Maction first started there, 1st of November. I watched him, and he was kind of like just piddling around, didn't really have much of an impact in the game I watched. But the following 2 weeks, he's had 4 sacks, I think, over the last 2 weeks. So he's really kind of started taking over as the season is winding down here. The one guy who stood out to me this week, not to be homerish, but I'm going to, a guy who wasn't on our watch list before this week and just added earlier tonight, South Carolina running back Zaquandre White, a terrific athlete, was a former JUCO player, had committed to Florida State at one time, but grades or something or another, had to go to junior college. Ends up at South Carolina, starts as a linebacker last year. They moved him to running back. He's buried on the depth chart because if there's one position South Carolina's deep at this year, it is running back. But Zaquandre White has emerged. He leads South Carolina in total in scrimmage yards. He's a terrific runner, terrific receiver. I think he'll be perfect in a one-cut zone blocking scheme, one-cut go. He bounces things outside quickly, accelerates. Good pass blocker, great receiver. I don't know if he's drafted. If he is, it will be really late. But I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be on a roster next year. I really like Zaquandre White.
He's definitely stepped up when I'm a Marshawn Lloyd fan, but Zaquandre Wright's been good. So maybe look, South Carolina, maybe they can even put 3 running backs in the NFL in the next couple of years. We'll see.
I mean, with him, Kevin Harris, and potentially Marshawn Lloyd, it's very, very possible. Let's look ahead, Shane. 18 games on the docket this week for us here in Week 13, and this is the last full week of the regular season of college football. It's, next week we'll get into the championship games and get into the heart of the FCS playoffs. We might get some of those, and then we're on to bowl season, obviously. But tonight, game on ESPN Plus for you, Shane, 6:30, started at 6 o'clock, so it's been going here for a couple hours. Buffalo at Ball State. Buffalo doesn't have the wide array of or the overall talented prospects like it's had in the last few years. But Ball State's got a handful of guys that I think we like. I like their safety, Bryce Cosby, and Johan Tyler. I think is going to be a excellent big slot potentially in the NFL.
I don't know if there's anyone draftable here. Brandon Martin, the linebacker for Ball State's played pretty well from what I watched tonight. So it's some undrafted guys, but guys that I think could make the NFL, and that's important to watch too.
It sure is. Thanksgiving night, Shane, 6:30 p.m. on ESPN. It's the Egg Bowl between Mississippi and Mississippi State, and this game's pretty interesting. The Rebs going for 10 wins. Mississippi State has knocked off, their share of teams this year. And Charles Cross, we've talked about him a lot. I think he's a potential top 10 pick in this class, the redshirt sophomore left tackle for Mississippi State, and Matt Corral, potential, depending on who's picking, number 1 overall draft pick in this class, if you want to, think of it that way.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of talent in this game, so I'm excited for the Egg Bowl. Like Sam Williams, the edge rusher from Mississippi's, tops of the SEC in sacks. Jerrion Ely, the running back for Mississippi, is a player that I really liked coming into the season. Had an injury, kind of started slow, but he's really coming on strong. And Mississippi State, I think, is building a program slowly but surely. Their offense has kind of been on fire. So I like Martin Emerson, the corner that they have. It's definitely a couple prospects here that I think are gonna find their way in.
The last game I watched Martin Emerson, and he got ejected in about 2 minutes into the game for targeting. So
it's always good.
Haven't really gotten a good look at him yet. On Friday at noon on FS1, Utah State and New Mexico. I'll be watching this one. I have not watched either team this year. 2 prospects for Utah State. 1 potential draftee, Justin Rice, the linebacker transfer from Arkansas State. That this is a double transfer from Fresno State to Arkansas State to Utah State. Logan Bonner, quarterback, decent passer, transfer from Arkansas State this past year, and safety Jarek Reed from New Mexico, a little undersized. So we'll get a look at those 3 guys in this game.
Yeah, look, you gotta clean up. I think we've watched the Utah State guys, and I'm with you. I think Justin Rice is pretty good, but hopefully this one goes better than my Georgia State Arkansas State game went this past week.
It probably. 2:30 p.m. on ABC. Newly minted number 4 team in the college football playoff rankings, Cincinnati at East Carolina, trying to take care of business before they play Houston next week. Desmond Ridder, we expect to be one of the quarterbacks that get invited to the Senior Bowl very soon. He's not going to be the only Cincinnati player that's down in Mobile. I expect probably their potential. I don't know the status of Ahmad Gardner, but it was hinted that maybe he is getting an invite. Kobe Bryant, their other corner, potentially as well. And Darian Beaver, we could be seeing 4 or 5 Bearcats here in Mobile coming up.
I mean, life is good when you're top 4 in the nation, I guess, and that's important. I think Alec Pierce, the receiver, as well. I think will probably get an invite. So there's definitely been some talk. I think of a number of these guys. I think we could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Cincinnati players potentially in the top 100. And I mean, to me, that would have been unheard of years ago to have that many good players from this team. That's how good they are.
2:30 p.m. on Friday. The game will be on ESPN Plus, but I will be live there covering it for Draft Countdown at Hancock Whitney Stadium. Coastal Carolina at South Alabama. Jalen Tolbert went off last week in the game that you watched against Tennessee. He may be getting matched up with DeJordan Strong, a probably priority free agent corner for the Chanticleers. Grayson Mccall came back last week. I was getting a little worried that I wouldn't get to see him in person, but he stormed back last week with 5 total TDs in their win. And Isaiah Likely will be at the Senior Bowl, so this will be his second trip to Mobile in about 2 months here for Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, that's true. So he's going to get comfortable there. I think it's going to be a pretty good game, just if Jalen Tolbert can kind of go off. But I mean, Coastal should score a ton of points with McCall back. I think it kind of squanders that hope. But I was sad Jalen Tolbert did not play against Alontae Taylor, and that was the whole reason I wanted to watch that game.
Probably smart,
yeah,
by them on that. So. 3:30 p.m. on FS1 on Friday, TCU at Iowa State. This one will be me again. And just get another look at the mass amount of Iowa State players to watch, including linebacker Mike Rose, we spoke about earlier. A little bit Senior Bowl, junior running back Breece Hall. Charlie Kohler is another player that'll be here at the Senior Bowl. So Xavier Hutchinson, their wide receiver, probably won't be at the Senior Bowl, but I expect he'll be at one of these All-Star games. Obina Easy, huge fan of his for TCU. We've talked about this a lot. So,
yeah, I feel like maybe I like Xavier Hutchinson a little too much. I guess he's definitely a player that's higher on my list than seems consensus. But I think Brock Purdy has done him dirty in this past year or two.
Yeah. Shane, 6 p.m. on Friday night, 6 p.m. ESPN, North Carolina at NC State. Maybe the final look for you at Sam Howell. One of these NCs, was it Ricky Person?
Yeah.
Declared for the draft today, the NC State running back. I know you're a big fan of him. And
my RB41, he's coming in strong.
Eichel Makwanu, Outland Trophy finalist, starting left tackle for the Wolfpack, but going to move inside to guard. He's a nasty player. Ty Chandler, North Carolina running back. I've come to like him this season.
Yeah, I watching against Pitt, he didn't do too much, but he's had some huge games too. I think Antoine Green for North Carolina, the receiver, is one of those like special teams guys, that could get drafted late, and you're like, why is he getting drafted? So yeah, and some of the North Carolina defensive guys too have been impressive. So yeah, I just want to see Hal one last time and see if Wanu knock some guys over.
I'm going to close out the Friday night with the Apple Cup, 7 p.m. on FS1, Washington State at Washington. We mentioned his name last week. I didn't add him. He's won't be on the primer because I just added him to our watch list today. Jalen Watson, the corner from Washington State, senior, was mentioned in the Bruce Feldman athletic piece on the Senior Bowl. Wanted to get a look at him. Abraham Lucas, we talked about him earlier. He'll be at the Senior Bowl as well. Brennan Jackson, I'm a fan of his. He probably will not be in this draft class, but he's a junior edge rusher for the Cougars. Washington's in trouble, man. I mean, coaching deal, whole shebang up there. It's a mess right now. But they do got a pair of junior corners that I think we both expect to enter the draft. Potentially Kyle Gordon, Trent McDuffie. I think Jackson Kirkland has reestablished himself in the top 10 tackle prospects for this class, and K. Dotton, their tight end, listed as a senior here. He might be that 8th guy, Shane.
He could be.
Could be.
I had him on there, so that's a possibility too, because we haven't had any Washington guys. I would imagine Jackson Kirkland gets in too, but yeah. I'm interested to see you with Abraham Lucas. Maybe getting to go up against CTF there would be a nice matchup too.
11 a.m. on the Big Ten Network on Saturday, Maryland at Rutgers. And this is just one of those where I look down and I haven't watched Rutgers play this season. I recorded the Penn State game last week so I could just have it to go back and watch later, but I figured I'd get this week as well. And their receiver, Bo Melton, was in the first wave of Senior Bowl invites. So I want to get a look at him. And Avery Young, I know you touted before the season, started their corner. Maryland, of course, has a handful of players that we like as well.
Yep. I also like Olakunle Fatukasi, the linebacker for Rutgers, is pretty good. So yeah, the Rutgers is a good defense this year. So I'm interested to see how you come away watching them.
The game I'm sure you're most looking forward to watching this weekend. 11 a.m. big noon kickoff on Fox. The game, you guys call it up there. Ohio State at Michigan. Everybody. A lot of players in this game to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited now that Andrew Stuper got that invite to watch him, see the pass rushers for Michigan and David Ajabo and Aiden Hutchinson, go up against Nicholas Petit-Frere and Thayer Munford for Ohio State, the offensive lineman. For them, we'll see how the receivers match up. So it's gonna be good. Maybe my prediction. I think Hassan Haskins has a big game against Ohio State. I think they get the run going. It's always a close game. I think that's kind of my prediction.
We don't think this one's going to be 49-7 at halftime.
It will not. It will not.
Another one for you. 2:30 p.m. on Saturday. It's the Iron Bowl, Alabama at Auburn on CBS. Shane, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I'm one of about 5 people in the state of Alabama who could just care less about the outcome of this football game.
Man.
If Alabama wins, my wife's happy, I guess. So happy wife, happy life, they say.
There you go. See, that's what you got to do.
But a lot of talented players on that Alabama team, including Biletnikoff finalist Jamison Williams, who I had going 17th overall in my mock draft this week to the Cleveland Browns. So he has definitely emerged. Roger McCreary, they won't be. He's going to have to cover one of them. Either him or John Mechie would be my guess here to see who. He'll probably get more Mechie than he does Williams, I would imagine.
Yeah, it could be a big game for Williams on that other side. I think is a good call. We'll see. I think Smoke Monday, the safety for Auburn too, could have a good game, but Alabama up front, it's going to be tough. Fedarian Mathis has kind of bounced back after I think he was beat up a little bit, and we'll see if Brian Robinson, he's the running back I expect also be a Mobile at the Senior Bowl when all's said and done.
2:30 p.m. on CBS Sports Network, Western Kentucky at Marshall. And this is to see another look here at the Western Kentucky Hilltopper quarterback, Bailey Zappi, who will be at the Senior Bowl, was the first quarterback, that accepted an invite to the Senior Bowl. Also, D'Angelo Malone, handful of Marshall guys as well to keep an eye on. Xavier Gaines, their H-back, has not had the productive season that I thought he would this year. And Stephen Gilmore's kind of fell off a little bit in my eyes from what I saw him a year ago.
Yeah, I think it's been a little tough going. Should be a high scoring affair. Marshall is a really good running back for next year. So that's I think you're going to enjoy watching the game at least.
Speaking of make it right, 2:45 on the ACC network. I had not watched Virginia Tech and didn't realize it.
Oh, jeez.
Until this week. And I'm like, there's a lot of Virginia Tech players I need to at least get one look at. And including Well, we had said their names so much, but I was like, surely I've watched them, but no, it's been all year long. I had not watched them yet. But Amari Barno, Senior Bowl invite. Trey Turner, the wide receiver, another one that's coming to the Senior Bowl. Lasita Smith, he was in, right? Not make it. Yeah, Lasita Smith also accepted an invite. So there's 3 guys right there who are going to be at the Senior Bowl that I've definitely got to get my eyes on this week. And Virginia, Brennan Armstrong came back last week. You called him unorthodox in your column this week, but he's fun to watch. I'll say that. I'm a big fan of Jelani Woods, their big 6'7", 275-pound tight end who moves a lot, moves like a lot smaller man. And their weapon, Keaton Thompson, former quarterback at Mississippi State, has really emerged this year as an offensive weapon for the Cavaliers. So I think he's moved himself into draftable prospect range.
Yeah, he's someone that's got to move up my board. And I'm with you. Barno's had a heck of a season, so I'm excited. I think he's going to have a good game.
6 p.m. on ESPN, Shane. This one's you and Texas A&M at LSU. And last chance to get a look at Ed Ingram, who we talked about earlier, going to be at the Senior Bowl. And he's going to have his hands full because he's going to have to block DeMarvin Leal, Jaden Peavy, Michael Clemens. I mean, these guys are going to be coming at him strong on that Aggie front four.
Yeah, and I don't know who's actually playing at LSU. Every time I watch them, I feel like there's less guys playing than before. And, one of their top corner after Derek Stingley, the top corner right now, just transferred, just left. So, things are kind of a mess. But I'm excited to watch some of the Texas A&M guys that I haven't paid as much attention to. Leon O'Neal, the safety, is a player that I need to kind of key in on a little bit more. Aaron Hans for the linebacker as well. And Damone Clark on the other side that we talked about before.
6:30 p.m. on the ACC network. Another look for me at quarterback Kenny Pickett from Pitt as they are at Syracuse. No watches of Syracuse for me this year. Not that there's really a whole lot to see. The best player for the Syracuse is not draft eligible. So for Pitt, definitely this is the week for me to concentrate on Carter Warren, their offensive tackle, fresh to the Senior Bowl, Damari Mathis, see if he can bounce back from what you called a tragic game last week against Virginia. So anxious to see how he goes this week.
I want you to pull out the stopwatch for Cal Anonymous. I want you to pull that out on those punts.
No. 7 p.m. on Fox. You, Shane, will be watching Notre Dame at Stanford. Notre Dame, this has got to be the quietest 10-1 team I think I've ever seen for the Irish. They come in with an outside shot at the College Bowl playoff. To me, the only way they even have a chance to get in is if Cincinnati loses one of their final 2 games, because there's no way the committee can put Notre Dame in over a Cincinnati team that beat the crap out of them on their own home field.
Wow. What about Bama loses in the SEC championship game? Then I think Notre Dame might be getting in then.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
It's interesting. That is
maybe they'll just lose this week to Stanford.
I would imagine that maybe we're getting off on a tangent here, but a one-loss Oklahoma State Big 12 champion would probably jump Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame never has any pull to make sure they get in. So.
Those poor guys. And then they get in and lose by 40 points.
Yeah, right.
But Kyron Williams, I know you're a big fan of his. To play in this game, Kyle Hamilton, probably going to be one of the last few times. If Notre Dame doesn't make the playoff, I imagine Kyle Hamilton will not be playing in their bowl game.
He is not playing in this game. He's not playing again. So he is.
Yeah, he's done. Never mind.
Yeah,
he's out.
And Brian Kelly blamed him if they don't get in the playoffs. It's going to be Kyle Hamilton's fault. So
of course it will. For Stanford, a couple of guys to keep an eye on. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Kayub Kelly, the corner. Thomas Booker, their defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman, had a solid season as well.
Yeah, I like Drew White, the linebacker for Notre Dame. He's just a solid special teams kind of guy. Isaiah Foskey, the edge, has had a really good season too. And Kyron Williams has made some runs this year that I don't think are real. So he's been, I can't move him down my board. I think he's going to be really intriguing.
8 p.m. on CBS Sports Network, Nevada at Colorado State. This is another one where I've just neglected to watch a team this year, and that was Colorado State in this case. So needed to see Trey McBride this year before he goes off to the Senior Bowl, because I'm not sure that they may be bowl eligible. I have no idea. Scott Patchin, their edge rusher, has had a solid season as well, so he's another guy to keep an eye on. And, of course, the entire offensive menagerie at Nevada. That's always fun to watch. So,
yeah, man. I'm intrigued to see what you think of Trey McBride and how he does in this game for sure.
Yeah, definitely who most of my attention will be on for sure. And finally, 9:30 p.m. on FS1 on Saturday, Cal at UCLA. This one is me as well. And one final look at lanky linebacker from Cal, Kwame Ding, who I liked more coming into the season than it's just so many good linebackers in this class that Ding has just fell almost down to the 6th, 7th round range for me, where I thought he was a potential 4th round guy coming into the season. UCLA has many intriguing prospects to watch, not limited to Zach Charbonnet, their running back, Greg Dulcich, the tight end, Sean Ryan, their offensive tackle, and Quentin Lake has started to emerge at the safety position this week. And I think one of the 8 quarterbacks at the Senior Bowl will be Dorian Thompson-Robinson from UCLA. I think he's going to get one of those last few spots.
Yeah, it's some good. I'm kind of with you on Quentin Lake. You know, he was a guy I like coming into the year. Kind of started slow, but has played really well. It's actually a good amount of prospects for Cal UCLA, so that's gonna be a good game.
I agree. Now, Shane, on to our favorite gambling segment of the week, the lock of the week. Shane, you pulled it off last week. Got the dub there. I did not. So I'm down to 5-7. 500 not looking so good for me now. But Shane up to 7.
Still a chance.
Still a chance. I saw this line. I'm like, this is surely a trick. Like, I should not pick this. This feels like a trap. Iowa, 4.5-point underdogs at Nebraska. They hooked me. I'm going with the Hawkeyes.
Oh no. Nebraska's not bad. No Adrian Martinez though, which might be a good thing. I don't know. It might help Nebraska.
Like I said, this felt like a trap, Shane.
Yeah, that's always scary. Look, I know we don't have the grand viewership yet, so I feel like I can do this. But I make this bet every year, and I've definitely come out profitable. I'm betting Michigan plus 8.5 against Ohio State. This game is always close. I think once in the past 5 years, it's been a complete and utter blowout. I think it's a touchdown game at best, and Michigan keeps it close. I'll take those points all day.
So Shane bets against his team.
Against the Buckeyes.
Goes with the Wolverines. So we both stay in the Big Ten this week. I go with Iowa plus 4.5 at Nebraska. Shane goes Michigan plus 8.5 points. All right, Shane, we've been building it up all week. We've been talking about it. Actually, we've only been talking about it for 2 days. But we're to given dinner draft. We're going to have a 7-round draft, a snake draft, where we'll each pick a dish from Thanksgiving, and we're going to build out the board here, and then we're going to put it up on a poll tomorrow on Twitter for everybody to vote on who is serving the best Thanksgiving meal this year. So 7 picks, Shane. You'll start, then I'll get the next 2, and then we'll snake it back around until we each have 7 dishes picked.
All right.
Shane, you are on the clock for Thanksgiving.
All right. So, look, my number 1 overall pick is easy, and it's this. I feel like this is the comfort food of Thanksgiving that you need to make it. Without it, doesn't exist. I'm going mashed potatoes at the 101. Like great
101 mashed potatoes.
Great mashed potatoes are that is what makes Thanksgiving, and I think that's crucial. to this
I
meal.
will give you gravy as a bonus because I think gravy goes with it. So you don't have to add gravy later.
If I don't have to draft gravy, then just shut the door.
Gravy comes with the mashed potatoes.
All right.
To me, they're hand in hand.
All right, mashed
potatoes and gravy. Number
and
one pick.
Wow, that's a freebie. I'll take it.
I'm going to go probably off course here.
All right,
because this is my thing that I will have at every. My wife never had this dish with their Thanksgiving meal. I had to enforce it on her because I said I will not sit down without this protein on the table.
Uh-oh.
Ham.
Oh my goodness, another ham person.
Number one pick for me, ham. Write it down.
Oh my goodness gracious. Ham. I mean that's just blasphemous. That's just blasphemous too. But Kane, my other co-host on W Marketplace, also a fan of ham on Thanksgiving. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Ham, number one pick. Now
ham.
I could take you out of this whole thing right here, Shane. I could take turkey here.
No,
I could take turkey here.
You can take turkey, and my meal still be the best. But
I'm not.
All you have is 2 proteins sitting on your plate. Nothing else.
Because I'm not a fan of turkey. I'll eat it, but I'm not a fan. So some people make. All right, I'm going to come back to this. I think I can get this in the next round.
All right,
I'm going to leave this. I'm going to go. You said comfort food earlier. Ultimate comfort food to me. Homemade macaroni and cheese. Number 2 pick for me. Homemade. Has to be homemade. No, none of that box stuff. Homemade macaroni and cheese. Number 2 pick for me.
Matthew Judon says no way. I don't know if you saw that rant by him.
I don't know who Matthew. I know who Matthew Judon is, but I don't care.
He went off on how bad macaroni and cheese is at Thanksgiving. So, but that's a Southern thing. Like we do not do that here. But it was on my board because I like good macaroni and cheese.
I will say this. This is definitely going to be a clash of styles, so to speak, here, no doubt. Because we are separated by a couple of thousand miles here and different traditions here. As you said, I am firmly in the South. You are firmly in the North. So this is definitely going to be different. Homemade macaroni and cheese to pair with my ham.
Pair with your ham. Ooh. Wow. This feels great. So at what are we at? The 104, I'm going to take stuffing. Yeah. So we get, which you call it stuffing in Alabama? Or
yes.
Is it dressing? Okay. I don't know.
It can go either way.
I think that's a regional thing too. Mashed potatoes and stuffing, like stuffing is just perfect. And I'll just pair it. I'll play it safe. I'll pair it with turkey at the 105. Give me the turkey. Give me the mashed potatoes. Give me the stuffing. Put that gravy on all of it. And this Thanksgiving dinner is, I mean, it's already elite. I'm not even half,
I will say this about your meal. It's better the day after. Let me say that about your meal.
Well, that's fine. Like it could be great
because you take the leftover stuffing and the leftover turkey and you put some gravy in there. You make a casserole out of it. Awesome. That's a good Friday after Thanksgiving meal.
And good on Thanksgiving meal as well. So
my third pick here at the 105 could be classified as dessert. I don't think it is. I think it's just right there on the plate. Sweet potato casserole.
Ooh,
you take sweet potatoes, marshmallows, syrup, caramel sauce, pecans roasted in it. Sweet potato casserole, pick 3 on my Thanksgiving board.
I'm gonna be honest. I do not like sweet potatoes. I have never liked that was 14th on my board. So you were safe in getting the sweet potato casserole. I'll say that.
I thought I was. That's why I didn't want to lose the macaroni and cheese. So I have to come down here, but I feel like I had to pull the trigger.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
With my next pick, I feel like I need a roll. I need some sort of bread.
Mm.
So give me, with my 4th pick, the King's Sweet Hawaiian Rolls.
Oh, my goodness.
4th pick.
This is a very sweet meal you have going here. I'm going to be honest with you.
Shane, there's a reason I'm 260 pounds, sir.
Oh my goodness.
Gonna wash it all down with a delicious glass of sweet tea.
Yeah, right. Yeah. At least we don't have to get drinks going here.
Correct.
All right. Whew. So let's see. I'm I think my meal. I mean, my meal's pretty good. So I think we gotta pivot to that dessert. Give me that pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie.
Here. Classic pumpkin pie dish. I look, you can eat that right there with the meal if you want to, but pumpkin pie, fairly important, I think, to really completing this.
Not a fan of the pumpkin.
No, not a fan.
Not a fan of pumpkin.
We really would have the worst Thanksgiving together because we like the exact opposite things. It would be absolutely horrendous. And a 109, I'm going to take one of your favorites. I know, and that's green bean casserole.
Oh,
absolute favorite. Look, green bean casserole is magnificent. Vegetables not good. Green bean casserole, very good. Onions, green beans. You get that. It's nice and creamy. You get a little bit of gravy in there too, just in case, right? I'm just pouring that on the whole thing. Pour it on the pumpkin pie. I don't care. Gravy it up and green bean casserole smacking. I feel like you can't even compete with this draft right now. I'm gonna be honest with you, Brian.
I disagree.
You're gonna pull out some stops.
I feel like I need a vegetable here, Shane.
Yeah, that's true.
I do have the sweet potato casserole. I have the rolls here. I have the mac and cheese. I have the ham. I feel like I need some sort of vegetable here. So let's keep it in the South. Turnip greens coming up on my board here as my vegetable coming onto my plate for Thanksgiving. Turnip greens.
Okay. Turnip greens. I can't say I 100% know what that is, but I know what collard greens are. It's
good. The same thing, but one has a root.
Well, okay. Well, I don't know if that was different or
they're in the same family. One has a root at the bottom of it with a turnip.
So you get the actual turnip with
no, you just cut that off.
Okay, you cut this. Just the greens. All right. I
mean, people eat them. I don't, but the greens are the premier here. Turnip greens.
We'll have to try that sometime. Sounds good.
Yeah. Google that, Shane. All right. So I too feel like I need to venture into the dessert realm here if you don't want to classify sweet potato casserole as a dessert. And I need a pie. I need a pie as well. I can't do sweet potato pie, which is my go-to pie, because I'm having sweet potato casserole, and that would just be, it would run together.
Do you do that on Thanksgiving? Do you have both of those things?
No.
Okay.
There will be a pumpkin pie at my house on Thanksgiving. I just won't eat it. But one of the most underrated pies out there, and this takes me back to my childhood. My granny used to make this every Thanksgiving and every Christmas. She would make the meringue herself, whip them eggs up. Lemon meringue pie comes on my list at my sixth pick here. Lemon meringue pie, number 6.
Wow, that is, man, this is just like, to me, not a Thanksgiving dinner. Like, I think you have a good meal. I think you have a good meal going. Like, if you invited me over for dinner, you
would eat this.
Next time I come down for a Senior Bowl, if you make this, I'm be like, oh, this is a great Southern meal. But if it was on Thanksgiving, I would be offended. I would be heavily offended by lemon meringue pie in the fall on Thanksgiving.
Lemon meringue pie. It's good stuff. Have you ever had lemon meringue pie?
I have. I'm not a big meringue fan, actually. I like the lemon part. I'll take the meringue off. Lemon pie, great.
All right. Last 2 picks coming, Shane.
All right, last 2. There's 3 things I want here. So I gotta pick. The number one, I think I need a roll. So I'm just gonna go with just a classic homemade dinner roll, right? Just the white bread dinner roll. that would be good for me. It's good for me. Dip it in the gravy. We already got the gravy. Just dip it in. It's going to be good. And I'm torn. Part of me wants to take another pie because I feel like you can't have enough pie, and I feel like, but you know what? No, I'm gonna go with cranberry sauce. It's just gonna complete the meal. It's gonna complete the meal. I'm not the biggest cranberry sauce fan. I usually don't put it on the plate, but I think if you get not the canned stuff, but like homemade cranberry sauce, cranberries are good. It is good.
I like cranberry juice. I'll say that.
Yeah, cranberry juice is good, but like
I feel like cranberry sauce is what everybody puts on their table for Thanksgiving, but nobody eats.
It's true. But if if you actually put it on the turkey, it's pretty good. But like you have the gravy, so you don't really need it. But I'm gonna go with that instead of pecan pie was my other one. That was gonna be my other one.
Say that again.
Pecan pie? Is that correct?
No.
No.
I don't. How did you say it?
See, now I can't even say it.
Okay.
Pecan pie. Pecan pie?
No, I say pecan myself. That's how I roll with it. Pecan
yeah, look, that's
and speaking of those, I am tempted here
go more
to go with toasted salted pecans because I am a fan of that. But
just pecans.
Yeah, just pecans, salt. We'll salt on them. Sit them in a bowl on the table. Everybody just kind of grabs some when they're talking, That feels like it could go in play, but I'm not going there. I feel like I might sign that one as an undrafted free agent. I'm going to go with potato salad. I feel like I need some sort of potato type dish here. Mashed potatoes went number 1 overall, so I come back with the potato salad, mustard, not mayonnaise because I can't handle mayonnaise, but potato salad coming off the board with my last pick here. So.
Yeah, look, I think I'm not a potato salad fan either. But there is like, I like the ham, I like the mac and cheese. Like I said, I think you have a good meal, but it doesn't feel Thanksgiving to me. I feel like classic Northern Thanksgiving.
He knows about the pie.
Oh, look, I'm sure your grandmother makes an awesome pie. Now I want that pie. But
so let's recap Shane's draft here. Mashed potatoes and gravy, stuffing, turkey, pumpkin pie, green bean casserole, homemade dinner rolls, cranberry sauce. Brian's draft, ham, homemade mac and cheese, sweet potato casserole, King's sweet Hawaiian rolls, turnip greens, lemon meringue pie, potato salad. Check Twitter tomorrow. Cast that vote for the winning dish here. And we'll see who wins the draft, the first annual draft countdown Thanksgiving dinner draft.
You act like this will be different next year. Like things are going to change.
Stay tuned for the Christmas dinner draft.
There you go.
Where it will be exactly the same for me because I'm a creature of habit and I like the same thing.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's get to the. You don't get to no wishy-washy here. No, must pick one or the other.
You're gonna have to vote, I guess. So we'll see.
So let's get to those. I don't think we had any questions come in on Twitter. One last check. We did not. We did have one question in the chat. Dwayne asked, talking about the Mackey Award finalists came out today. Jalen Weidermeyer, Charlie Kohler, and Trey McBride were the finalists. He was wondering why Notre Dame sophomore Michael Mayer did not make the list. Easy answer for me is this is a loaded year for tight ends, and some of these voters tend to, even though they're not supposed to, they almost always tend to stick to the upperclassmen in some of these awards, even though, like I said, they're not supposed to, but it's biases show.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's just he's not like draft eligible essentially, so he gets slighted. Brock Bowers to Georgia, another guy that could have made it, kind of got slighted too. So yeah, 3 just doesn't seem big enough. So
no, like I said, if it was me, my final, I didn't get to that. This is one of the awards I didn't get to vote on, but Cole Turner from Nevada was one that I thought had the deserved season to be nominated for that award. But that's going to do it for tonight's edition of the Draft Countdown podcast. If you follow us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you'll know when awesome episodes like this Thanksgiving edition go on. And like if you had that notification bell and you know that we're on Tuesday night instead of Wednesday night without us having to tell you that because you'd have been told. Follow me on Twitter at Deep Fried Draft. Follow Shane on Twitter at Shane P. Hallam. Follow at Draft Countdown for everything going. And we want everybody, Shane, I think from me and Shane and everybody at Draft Countdown, wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and stay safe out there. If you're traveling to go see your loved ones tomorrow, be careful on those roads and airways and such a way that people get around.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay safe. Enjoy the holiday. Enjoy the football. Lots of it. Enjoy the Egg Bowl. It's going to be great.
That's going to do it for Shane. I'm Brian. Good night, everybody.